see if we're live. Ooh, I got a nice color to me today. All right, am I live? I'm live. All right. So this is, let me see. Can you hear me? All right. So, hi, my name's Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind Group page. And just like we do every other week, we go live 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I hope you guys are interested. Tonight, we're going to talk about locations, what kind of locations are good locations, top locations, maybe you never thought of, everything and anything to do with locations, some of the tips and tricks I've used about getting locations, how to overcome some challenges about locations, and what you need to know to help you get locations and keep locations. So here we go, and hope you guys, anybody who is out there, if you want to join in and you chime in and tell us what locations are hot and what's not. So, all right. So, the standard locations that pretty much everybody starts out in the business, or what I've seen start out, is they start out with tattoo parlors, they start out with barbershops, and they start out with nail salons. Those are the kind of the top easy locations, or let's call them low-hanging fruit when you get into the ATM business that you're gonna start with. Then you're gonna migrate from there, and you will migrate into convenience stores, gas stations, liquor stores. Will be the next round, and then if you get really lucky, you'll get into bars, some restaurants, some gentlemen's clubs, dispensaries, truck stops, some gaming parlors, gaming locations. So that is kind of like the hierarchy. Then there's off locations such as hotels or mobile events. So it just kind of depends where you're at in the hierarchy. Now, what I have found is to always build relationships with the people. So, and the challenge, what the businesses that I see is that there's too many locations, and so you're constantly going back and forth from one type of location to another, and you never really learn the lingo of how to talk to the different people. So if you're talking to barbershop owners, they got a different mindset than they do with the nail salons, and the nail salons have a different mentality than the convenience stores. So what you got to do is you got to really learn to talk the language. So what I started telling people from time to time is the best thing to do is to really learn the language when you talk to somebody. Now, somebody says, yeah, flea markets are a good location, especially if they're cash only, and there's people that they set up during the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a really good venue. But sometimes the locations, all these vendors, sometimes they do the Cash App, or they do Venmo, or they have credit cards. So it just depends on what you're looking for and how it's working. But to go back to what I want to talk about is you have to learn the language of what the person is interested in. So I'm going to give you guys some stuff that you guys maybe know or you don't know. Most barbershops, or most of the time, it's like this. The barber or somebody owns the shop, and what they do is they rent out chairs. So when they're renting out chairs, usually the guys who are cutting the hair, they are private contractors. So if they're going to take payment from their customers, they do either the Cash App, they take cash. Usually the store owner doesn't have a credit card machine for the most of the time, because he's renting out the chairs. He doesn't really care, and it's a accounting nightmare to get the credit card. Now on beauty salons, they don't care. They make it part of the deal, as most women's haircuts are $200, $300, $400, depending on if they're getting it in color or style or how they're doing it. But guys, it's not. It's usually from $10 to $30. It's quick hits in and out. So most barbers, the way they do business is they just rent out the chairs, and they don't care about how their guys are doing payments. This gives you a good opportunity to put an ATM into those locations. But you got to know what the guy wants. The guy, he wants his customers, his particular customers, maybe to pay cash, and he wants to maybe finagle the money the way he wants. So he doesn't really care about the other guys in the shop. They're paying him rent. He doesn't get any of their action, and he doesn't care. So it's not a big deal if he has a credit. He won't take credit cards, but he only cares about the ATM as far as he's concerned and how he does his business. So you got to talk to him, not necessarily other barbers, but you want to look to see, hey, how many other barbers are there, because you want to bank, because you're going to flip him to now not doing the Cash App or Venmo, or if he is taking Square for himself, you want to flip him, and then you want to get the other guys in the shop to do that also, because more barbers that do that, it's the more money that you'll make on the ATM. If he's just doing it and the other guys are taking a Cash App, you just got one barber. You got to get all the barbers. And to do that, you got to make sure your ATM is always full. So that's how you talk to the barbers. Now the nail salon people, they don't care. They're not on commission. They usually they're paying all their people, and what they want is they don't want to put the charges on the credit cards. So what they want is they want to have the ATM. They want to keep a low fee, usually $1, maybe $2. You can probably keep 100% of the revenue because they don't care about that. They just want a low fee because they don't want their customers to pay the charges. That's what they're trying to avoid. So it's a different conversation. They want to keep the fee low. The barber, he wants to make some money off the deal, and he wants to get his barbers to use cash, because the more his barbers using cash, the more money he makes in ATM. So he uses it more of a revenue source. The convenient or the nail salons, they don't. They want to make it cheaper for their customers. Now we go into a convenience store, or a liquor store. Either one, they got this most of the time the same mentality. They're looking at the ATM as a revenue source. It used to be in the day, we used to convince them that, you know what, we're driving traffic to their location and they're increasing their in-store sales. That is 100% true, but you guys don't talk about it. You got to talk about that because, especially in a new convenience store, he needs to get the traffic up. He needs to get the volume, the people coming in the door. He needs some way to drive the traffic to his locations. Without doing this, it's going to take him a longer time. By placing an ATM in a new convenience store, a new liquor store, he's increasing his volume. He's increasing the amount of people that come to his store. However, the conversation, he doesn't recognize that. He just wants to know, how much am I going to make? What's it going to cost me? If you're placing the ATM into his stores, you got to talk about what the ATM is going to generate him, because that's all he cares about. He won't care about, we're going to increase sales, but it's always a good reason to talk about that. You have to talk about that, because you go into a store and they don't have an ATM, and now you're telling them, look, how long you been in business? This guy says, oh, I've been in business for a couple of weeks. All right, well, you need to get the traffic. So he's going to be real keen on the traffic. You want to tell him, hey, we put the ATM as soon as you're with us. We put it on Visa's website. We put it on MasterCard's website. Now, you guys don't necessarily know this out there, but as soon as we place an ATM, I have to register with Visa. So if you're in our network, it automatically gets registered with Visa. It automatically gets registered for MasterCard. I have to pay, it's kind of like a con job as far as I'm concerned. I have to pay Visa and MasterCard to put it on their website. I don't have an option. However, it does help you guys out there because it does drive traffic to the store. Now, some people say, oh, I can list it on Google. You can list it on Google, but then you're going to have to say that you're the owner of the ATM in that store, which you are, but you'll have to say that you're like the business owner. Sometimes that is convoluted between if the business owner wants to put his stuff on the Google Maps, and now you're putting yourself on Google Maps. So it might create a problem if you're doing this. So just to keep in mind, but their mentality always is, how much money can I make and what am I going to make every month? That's all they're thinking about. Now, sometimes the convenience store owner, at one time they might have owned their own, or they are looking to own their own. But what I found out is most of those guys are not very business oriented guys as far as driving traffic and for the ATM. Because what happens is when they get a liquor delivery, or they have to buy cigarettes, or they have to buy something, they'll usually take the money out of the ATM, pay the vendor up, and then when they build the ATM money back up, then they place it in the ATM. Well, what happens is because they do that, ATM might be down 2, 3 days, and it's a constant down. And it's so much that it's down is that the location now people go to the store to look to get money. There's no money. They stop going to that. So it actually hurts his business by him or her owning their own ATM. So those are one of the things you got to convince them. Like, look, if we do the service, the ATM's always full versus when you own your own, it's not always full. So, but that just to keep in mind, that's the conversation that they care about is how much money I'm going to make. The other thing is now if you're talking to a bar owner, he just wants the ATM full. He's not really interested in the money that it generates. He just wants it full because his customers are taking the money out to do other things. Maybe they got gaming in there. Maybe they're selling something in there. Maybe he doesn't take credit cards and he just wants it full at all times. He's not so interested in the money. So the conversation you want to have with a bar owner is, look, it's always going to be full. You're never going to have to worry about it. If it breaks, you call us. We'll fix it right away. And then you have to establish in yourself, well, what's my service time? So because he's interested in that ATM being up all the time. So you're going to have to establish service parameters when you talk to them, because that's the main thing that they're interested in. They're not really, some, I'm not going to say not everybody, but some are going to be interested. Well, how much money am I going to make? For the most part, they're not interested in the money. They're interested in the service and the thing to be up. So you have to know that going into that location. The hotel, you're talking to hotel. Now, this is a bit of a challenge because who are you talking to with the hotel? Usually you're talking to, for the most part, you're talking to a management company. If you're lucky enough just to talk with the owner operator, it's an easier conversation. They'll sign a 5-year agreement. They won't have an issue. They just want to make sure the ATM is up and running at all times. If you're dealing with a management company, now you'll have a challenge. They're not gonna want to sign a 5-year agreement. They're only going to want to sign a 1-year agreement. The management company is usually going to want 50% of whatever the surcharge is. So it's going to be a tougher deal because that's their mentality. They're a management company. They want to earn as much money. They don't really care about anything but earning as much money, because the more money they make, the more money they get to put in their pocket. They're not going to sign a more than 1-year agreement because their contract with the owner states that they can't be into a long-term agreement with the property, because if they make a bad deal, then the owner's subject to those bad deals, and they don't want to be subject to those bad deals. So most of the time when you're dealing with a management company, they only want to sign a 1-year agreement. It leaves you very vulnerable, is what I would consider, in those agreements. So a lot of times you'll say, well, I hear it all the time. Well, how do I get a chain? Do you really want a chain? I mean, is that what you want at the end of the day? Because you don't really have any, they can get rid of you pretty much. I mean, it's a year-to-year contract, so they can get rid of you. I'm not a big fan of that. I want to build a long-term relationship with them. So sometimes I will pass on those deals, but maybe you feel it's okay to be comfortable with those short-term locations, and they want 50%. So again, I'm not excited about those deals because they're short-term deals. I got a lot of risk at hand. I got to do a lot of work. I don't make very much money because I got to give up 50% of my profit. And the only way to be profitable a lot of times, unless it's a high volume location, is you got to give them only 30%. You give them any more than that, you're just not profitable. So you got to keep in mind with those locations. You get in gentlemen's clubs, they're going to automatically get 50%. It's just the way it is. Now you can get a long-term agreement. They don't usually have an issue signing a long-term agreement. They're going to get 50%. You're going to sign the agreement. One of the challenges you will have is you better make sure that on service, the thing goes down, you better be there, because they're pretty much 90% of their revenue is going to come from that ATM. So they might still take credit cards at the bar, but they're not going to take credit cards for lap dances. So you will have to make sure that ATM is full. You'll have to be ready for it at any time if it goes down. And sometimes it might be best, if you got a good go in place, put 2 ATMs, because you know what? If they call at 3 o'clock in the morning, you might not be answering your phone. So you'll have to figure that out, what you want to do with that. You get a dispensary, it's pretty much the same thing. Now, some dispensaries, they're taking some form of credit cards with what they call point of banking machines, or they got wallets, or they got some kind of convoluted way where they're going around um, the business now, 8 dispensaries are not supposed to take credit cards, but some are finding will work their way around it. They're sneaking it in the back door. Visa and MasterCard are trying real hard to make sure that they can't take credit cards because it violates the banking rules for Visa and MasterCard. They're not, it's in dispensaries, they're supposed to be cash only. They are finding ways to work around, but if you are um, fortunate enough to sign one of these things, most of them, they will sign a long-term agreement the first time, like a 5-year agreement. The second time, not so much, because they got proven numbers. They know what they're doing. They know how much it's going through. And more likely they'll try to either get one of their relatives to do that, or maybe they take it over themselves, which again, they're not supposed to do either. They're supposed to have a private vendor just like yourself in there to get the dispensary, but that is what you're subject. So the first deal is always the best deal. After that, you're going to expect to give up more of the surcharge um, for those places, but you'll have the numbers. You'll know, hey, I know that we have 2 machines in there. They're going through $100,000 a month. I know, or it could be a week, and just depends on how good the place is. And from there, you'll know what the numbers are. But the first time, try to get the longest agreement you could possibly get in there, because um, that's gonna resonate with the people, and it's gonna resonate with you, and you're gonna make some money in the first time. And then after that, it's not necessarily the best deal. It can be still profitable, but it's not. But you got to know the language. The language is look, we'll put it. The language they like to hear is, you know what, we're gonna put a couple machines in because your business is important, and if you're up and running, if we're down, you're down. You don't want to be down. So the best thing you want to do um, is, you know what, put two ATMs in there, because that shows your strength, and you'll keep the location for a while. So so far, if this has been helpful, I'll put one in the chat. I like to see um, some ones, if this is helping you guys, these types of locations. So let me know. One of the other things now, so now if you go into let's say a truck stop. Now, a truck stop is going to be, it's more likely is going to be a chain. There's Love's, there's TA, there's Pilot, there's Flying J's. These are, let's see, I got a question. Do you think, let's see, do you think me trying to put an ATM inside a Family Dollar or a Dollar General is a good idea? All right. So Dollar General or Family Dollar is a chain account, just to let you know. So what there are, I forgot, Pinnacle, I think is the name. I want to say Pinnacle, but I could get it wrong. Pinnacle is the company who has the national contract. So what they do is they have parameters. So you have to pay, or it was last time I looked at it, and the deal might change. It was like $100 a year to have your ATM to do business with these guys. So they charge you $100 a year. Then if the ATM you have to put it at a maximum of, let's call it $3. So $3 or $2.99 or $3. I don't remember exactly what it was. I haven't looked at it in a couple of years, but it was $3. And then if it made like 0 to 50 transactions, was a 60-40 split. You got 60, they got 40, but out of your 60, you got to cut Pinnacle back a percentage. So you were at almost like a 50-50. And then if it went from, let's say, 40 to 100 transactions, then they got more money. And so now you're at the 40. Store owner always got 40%. Pinnacle sometimes got 20. You were at 40. You put the ATM in, you service the location, you put the money in. You don't have a contract with the store, you have a contract with Pinnacle. And if that's the contract. So it's a very, I looked at some, and there was like 7,000 stores out there. So some looked like, they're building right now, I think like 5,000 new stores of Dollar Generals. So it looks like it could be a great location. But when we looked at the others, when we first started doing it, it really wasn't the great location. I don't want to be discouraging, but it wasn't. It was very tough because they did things like they gave cash back. So everybody who went in there, they bought something, they could get up to $40 cash back. Well, if you got an ATM and they're giving free cash back, it wasn't a good situation. So you know what? There are still some I want to say independent type of Dollar Generals out there that are not necessarily controlled by the chains, but you got to find those. So if you can find a Dollar General or a Dollar Tree or Family Dollar that isn't controlled by corporate, go ahead and take a shot. Then when you don't have to pay Pinnacle, you can cut your own deal. If you can do that, or you know the owner or store manager, then try to do that. I think that would be a good location. But if it's a corporate deal, you're going to have to kick up to Pinnacle, and I don't necessarily know it's a great uh, location because of that. So we tried a few, and it just was never a good situation, because by the time I paid, they call it like a distributor license or some baloney like that. It was like I'm giving up all my profit from the store. And a lot of times you go there and you can only put it, they wanted it in a certain area, and it wasn't a very popular area. And a lot of times you're fighting for floor space even to put it in there. Whew. So it just wasn't a good thing. So I go back to so we got truck stops. So the truck stops. You know what, it depends on, sometimes the general manager had a good, it was a good opportunity, or sometimes it went through corporate. So sometimes when they're building them, that's the best time to go in there and find out, well, is this an opportunity for me, or does it have to go through corporate? I'm not a big corporate guy. I didn't like the corporate contracts. I didn't, I just never, I never, I just didn't like the deal with a lot of the corporate baloney. So I just always stay away from it. All right. So what's your favorite, most profitable ATM location? Um, well, the dispensary is the number one location we have. But you know what? Sometimes we have we have believe it or not, we have like currency exchanges for Latino people. They do very well. So they ship, I don't know, they ship money wherever they're shipping. And so sometimes it's combined with a grocery store. Sometimes they just have a currency exchange, and sometimes they have it like in a beauty salon, and they have a currency exchange in the back. So those type of places do really well because they have to ship money, and it has to be all cash. So they need cash to do that. So that is really right now one of my favorite spots to put an ATM. It's like a little hidden gem that not a lot of people look at because of I don't know why. So I'm sharing my secret right now. I hope you guys take advantage of that. Let's see. Is there a website to know which store is corporate or family owned? No, I don't. I don't know. You just have to talk to the store. I don't know how to find out if it's corporate or family owned. So I apologize. Again, guys, if this is helpful, you know what? Just put one in the chat that so far this has been helpful for you guys to deal with locations. What was the other one I was just going to talk about? The grocery stores. I like the grocery stores. That is an easier type of situation. Family owned mom and pop grocery stores are a nice little hidden gem out there when you're talking about ATMs in locations. Just because they're family owned, you deal with an owner operator. They're usually at the store all the time. You can cut a nice deal. You don't have to give a lot of surcharge, and you don't have to worry about, most of the time it's not late at night. So they're usually open from 6 in the morning to 8 at night, or 8 to 8. They're open 7 days a week. There's a lot of people that come through there, and it's a nice location, clean location, friendly location. You don't have to worry about it. So those are the locations that I really like right now, is the grocery stores. That's really my favorite. But for you guys, any location that you can start out, but pick a lane and then dominate in that lane. That way, you know how to talk, what they were looking for, and how to do a good business. Laundromats, guys, did a lot of laundromat business. It was a great location, but what happens is now they're going to a lot of the cards in the washer and dryer. Some of the new ones that come in, they're doing the washer and dryer with the cards. We do have some we still have ATMs in some of them that are doing the cards, and they do still take money out, but not like they did when it was coin. I always look for like anywhere from 200 to 500 washers and dryers, because that's a nice little number. Anything less, and you just don't have there's not enough traffic. So, um, so uh, again, my name is Phil from ATM Mastermind Group. We go live every other Monday at 6 o'clock Central Time. If you guys are interested in going in the ATM business, we have an ATM course. Just look at you can go to our YouTube page, which is Phil Webb ATM. And in there, you can click on the course. We have a course that we sell to help you guys get in the ATM business. It comes with location agreements and everything you need to know to get in the ATM business. And it comes with my mentorship too. If you guys need any questions, you can always reach out to us when you guys are a student, and I can help you guys through any situation. It's always nice. I was just thinking about this the other day. You know what? In business, it's always nice to have somebody to talk to say, hey, what did you do in this situation? And so you don't have to recreate the wheel. It saves you thousands and thousands of dollars all the time when you can do that. And I just think, you know what? I had a couple good mentors in my life, and it wasn't for them, I would have spent a ton of money trying to figure out and going through the hard way. It's always nice to have somebody to help you out. So thank you guys again for joining. And we're going to go over to the student group now tonight and talk about helping out the students and see where they're at tonight. But I just want to thank you guys for joining. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and good luck. Comment below and let us know how we can help. Thank you.